Nobuntu, you have everything you need within you to break the patterns of your past. You do not have to inherit untruths, brokenness, and the status quo. The fire in your bones is exactly why you were brought to this earth, and it is what will bring you back to God's original design for you and for everyone you encounter.
Greetings to you and welcome to My Own Kind of Beautiful. I'm your host, Millicent Mashile, and today I have an incredible guest in studio who is an author, so I trust that she's going to impart some knowledge onto us today, and she has a beautiful journey in how she found her own kind of beautiful. Listen, there's something that she said that I really love. She is burning everything religion taught her. Now that does not grab your attention. I don't know what's wrong with you. Her name is Nobuhle Webster. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Ah, man, you look absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. As do you. Absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, thank you. Can you introduce yourself to the people at home? Tell us who you are and what you do.
Okay, so my name is Nobuhle Webster, as you have said. It's always hard for me to say I'm an author, but I've written 2 books. So I will own it. I'm an author. I run a media company as well that does production and publishing. So yes.
Nice. You are publishing and you're an author. You are that girl, hey?
And I'm a mom and a wife. Mom to 2 boys.
Oh, that's good. I have 2 boys too.
Really?
Yes.
How old are yours?
They are 10.
Okay. But wait, are the twins?
Yeah, yes. Okay, listen. It's not about me.
Yes.
You wrote a book, right, that I've been reading this week, and I found it so interesting. And just you saying burning everything that religion taught you. I want us to talk about how you came up with that. What made you burn all these things religion taught you?
So look, I grew up in church.
Yeah.
And I grew up with a lot of questions. I grew up loving God, church girl, but I always questioned everything. And I think it's something that is a part of my nature, part of how I was created, and therefore actually part of my purpose. I question stuff. I would ask, why do we do that? I mean, one of the examples is having communion. I would ask, why do we have communion? And then I'd look and I'd say, but what Jesus said is like, do this in remembrance of me, which means that do it every time you gather. He was gathered, having a meal. So I asked my mom, but isn't this meant to say that every time we gather and have a meal, we should do it in remembrance of him and in honor of him? You know, so I was always, from the time I was little, my parents even say today she was a challenging child because I asked everything, I questioned everything. So I think that it's something that's always been in me. But a time came and a time comes where your purpose is literally a fire in your bones. Where the things in you are literally a fire in your bones and you can't contain them anymore. And I believe that means it's time for them to come out into the world, and it's when the world needs them. And so I've always questioned, and I've always felt like there is a deeper walk with God, and there's a deeper relationship that can unearth more of us that we can have, and that can be a mirror to ourselves and our own beauty from the inside out when we lose religion and actually have a real relationship with God. And you speak about purpose and you say it's like the fire in my bones, right? That's how powerful purpose is. So you said it's more important to find a purpose than to find a job. Absolutely. Now people want to survive, girl, and they're like, listen, I need a job. But your purpose is more important, because without your purpose, what kind of job are you doing? Absolutely. So the thing about purpose is that we've lived in a system. We've become so used to a system that has taught us to look for a job, and that has made it kind of the norm, whereas actually what should be the norm and what is the norm is your purpose. It is the fact that you were born for a purpose, and you should be able to live off and even thrive off your purpose, not just live off it, thrive. And so there's a whole shift that we need to make. There's a whole shift we need to make about what we're here for, and there's a whole shift we need to make that kind of rebels against the way the world works, because it's not necessarily how we the system. We've got to rebel against the system, against the world system, because it doesn't. It enslaves us. It's chains. It chains us and enslaves us, and I don't believe it's how we were meant to live. And there is another way. There's another way.
Yeah. So there's the system of the world that's set, right? And then there's religion.
Yes.
On top of that. So
Yeah.
there's society that says this is how it's supposed to be, and then there's church that says this is how it's supposed to be. Okay, with that said, I want to ask you about something that you said.
Yeah.
Let me just go here. You said, but in all those years in church, the Wednesdays, Thursdays, Sunday conversation, I have missed the most important thing, a real relationship with God.
Yeah.
I was just like, hold up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah.
Because we get so obsessed about, am I doing it right? Am I attending church? And that becomes religion. It has nothing to do with God anymore.
It has nothing to do with God. I think we even miss what church was supposed to be. So church is supposed to be a community. Actually, the original word is ecclesia. And ecclesia was a community or a group or a body of people who believe. So that's what it's meant to be. It's not meant to be a place we go to. It's meant to be something we become.
A lifestyle.
A lifestyle.
Yes.
It's meant to be something we become. And so that's the first thing. So
Yeah.
when I say in the book, I would go and I would go and I would go. And I thought I had it, right? I really thought I had it for a long time in my life. But when I reflect and when I look back at some of the mistakes I made, at some of the brokenness, at some of the decisions that I made, I realized that actually I made those mistakes and had brought myself into that brokenness because I actually didn't have the relationship. Because if I had the relationship, I would have always asked before I took any decision. If I had that relationship, I would have always listened and I would have been guided. But I wasn't, even though I was doing the Thursday, Friday, Sunday things, I didn't necessarily have the real relationship. And it becomes such a problem in most of our lives that we don't even know that God is a place to find healing from. Because we think,
come on now,
it's just this place you go to.
Yes, it's a building.
It's a building to go to show up and to do and to do all these things that are done in church. And we never ever get that actually there is a whole lot of unlearning, unbecoming and becoming. Actually, there's a friend of mine who has a book called Unbecoming to Become. There's a whole lot of unbecoming and becoming that we should be doing, and only a relationship with God can bring you to that becoming.
Yes. And how did you find your own kind of beautiful? Because I see you've always been one that's different. You know, reading your book, your mom was like, "How do that?" You know, you know. So you were not a person that just does things because for the sake of doing things. You're like, but why? Even when you met your husband, everything about you was just different. You know. So it might look like she was rebellious and doing things her own way, but it's because you found your own kind of beautiful.
Yeah.
How was that process for you in finding? This is me and this is who I'm becoming.
You know what? It's an ongoing process. It's always been an ongoing process. I have to say that one of the things that really helped me was having parents that allowed me to be.
Yes.
That didn't actually push back against who I am. That didn't force me to conform. They allowed me to be.
They didn't conform.
No. They didn't force me to conform, and that helped. That really helped me. I think that was the foundation of me being okay with being my own kind of beautiful. I then have a whole life where, from the age of 5 or 4, actually 4, back then in the 80s, late 80s, I went to white schools where I'd be the only black girl. So that was with my afro.
On its own, Jace, like,
on its own, the only black girl in the
yeah.
class at that time, and I had to get to a place where I would be okay with my own kind of beautiful. I mean, I remember there were times where I would go to school and see the flowy hair of the white girls, get home, ask my mom for a scarf, and pretend it's my hair.
Something to make
it, you know? And my mom would say, no, but your hair is beautiful. Your hair is great as it is. And so from a very early age, I had to learn to own my own kind of beautiful. Because it was just my world. I was just the only person, like you say, I was different in many spaces, and that was one of the spaces. And so I had to just own that beauty about myself. And I think growing up, I then had to come to a place of accepting that I'm always going to question things. I'm always going to say, I'm always going to
celebrate it.
You're always going to say to someone like, yeah, no, but why?
And there's nothing wrong with that.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that that's also how we miss our purpose in trying to conform to what everybody else is like. And so I got to a place of, hey, I make different decisions. At the age of 24, I'm going to leave a good corporate job where I'm climbing the ladder really fast and go to start a business. You know, I'm going to do it. And I really think it came from understanding that actually this thing that is different in me is actually what the world needs.
Yay! Yay, man! Come on!
The world doesn't need a whole lot of other whoever's. The world needs an Ubuntu.
But you realize that, and somebody else who's watching might not have realized their purpose, you know, and I see you big on purpose, and I want you to speak into the camera to somebody that says, listen, I'm confused, I don't know what purpose is, I haven't found mine, you know, and I want to be at that place. I want to be in that place where I can even celebrate the fact that I'm different, but I don't know how to do it. So inspire and encourage.
So your purpose is that thing that was God's design for you. Before you even came to the earth, before your parents even imagined you or knew or conceived you. And it doesn't change, you know. There was a purpose for you and there was a design for you. And you might have gone far away from it and you might have, you know, been in a different place now than you were meant to be or where you feel you were meant to be. But you can always go back to God's design for you. It's in the little things, it's in the things that you've always known about yourself. It's in the things that have always come so easily to you. It's in the things that burn you, you know, the things that just move you, and you can't ignore them. It's in those things, it is there. Just take notice of the little things. Take notice of the things that make you you. Take notice of the things that are consistent in your life. When you look back, but I've always felt like this. But this has always made me feel like this. This has always made me feel alive. That's how you find your purpose. It's in the things that have always been there.
It's always been there because you're born with it.
Yeah.
Listen, she definitely has fire in her bones. This is her book. Ladies and gentlemen, get it. All the best with everything that you're doing. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. I loved chatting to you.
Nobuhle, before you leave, I want to give you this, right? So we've printed this and put a really inspiring woman on it. And please look at her and tell her she's absolutely amazing because she is, and I hope she inspires you as much as she inspires us. Girl.
Oh wow! Oh!
We love her.
Oh, this is awesome. Do you want to see what it is? Oh man! Oh!
She's beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
You're very welcome. Listen, as you celebrate that woman, we celebrate her as well, and I hope you at home are as inspired as we are. Make sure that you find your purpose. I think if there's one thing that I took from this conversation is that we need purpose more than we need a job. So get your purpose and you will not have to work a day in your life. Thank you so much for watching My Own Kind of Beautiful. For myself, Melissa and Mashile, it's bye for now.